We're getting ready to go into a news conference inside the courtroom at Huron County Common Police Courthouse. Coming in is Carolyn Tokar,
Happy New Year, everybody.
John Majoy,
Make sure you clear it
Yeah.
right.
You know some of these faces. You guys coming? Shanna's over here.
We're getting ready for the start of a news conference with the family of Amanda Dean and supporters.
Behind the big guy.
David, stuff, come on over here. Okay.
Right here. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chief John Majoy, John I'm the Chief of Police for the Village of Newburgh Heights. I'm the past president of Cleveland Missing, and I've been serving as the spokesman for the Dean family.
Sylvia Colon, SYLVIACOLON, co-founder of Cleveland Missing.
So back in December of 2022, the local media in this area had started some press coverage about a missing person being Amanda Dean. The case hadn't gotten really a whole lot of attention, and they came to the arms of Cleveland Missing at that time. And Sylvia called me on a Friday. She said, "You need to take a look at this case. There's something really unique about it." So I had been familiar with it, seeing the local news stories. And so we spoke on the phone. And the very next day was a Saturday. I sent an email to John Sarai of Ohio BCI. And I said, "If you're free on Monday, can you call me to talk about a case?" Monday morning, 8 o'clock, John Sarai was walking in my office. He said, "John, you never asked me this. What's going on with this case?" So I explained to him what I knew about the case, which wasn't a lot at the time, and told him that we'd be meeting with the family the following week. This would have been the middle of December of 2022. And up until that time, Amanda was not entered as a missing person. There was no report to show that she was missing at all. And I'd explained this all to Agent Sarai. And he said, "Well, we'll take a look into it." I said, "Okay, we're meeting with the Dean family." And so he came, and meeting Caroline and Shannon for the very first time, we gave them some very good news. And the good news is that Ohio BCI was taking the case. 1,111 days to today, Ohio BCI has had this case. And hundreds and hundreds of reports, interviews, documents. 100% credit for this case and arrest goes to Ohio BCI, because they picked up a mess and they ran with it and they solved it. And they did well. If it wasn't for Ohio BCI, we would not be here today. Despite any negative rhetoric or anyone else that may want to try to take credit for this case, they're wrong. It will rest solely upon Ohio BCI. Attorney General Dave Yost, I talked to Mr. Yost personally. He's very familiar with this case. We told him our kudos for Agent Sarai and what he has done for this case. It has been nothing short of amazing. What I will tell you is that Cleveland Missing has worked with this family closely. When we had a press conference, Cleveland Missing, Tracy, you were there, and I made a commitment to the family, and the commitment was that we're going to see this through no matter what. And here we are 3 years later, and we've seen it through. And here we are today. I'm going to let Sylvia kind of fill in a couple of gaps as far as Cleveland Missing is concerned from there.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a lot of gaps to fill, quite frankly. I think from our perspective, one of the things that G and I always tell families is that when they walk through our door, we got new members of our family. And this is not the way we would ever choose to have new members of our family. But today we stand before everybody saying the Dean family is now part of our family. We know what this feels like. The outcome is a little bit different. certainly for the Deans than it was for our family, but we certainly know what it feels like, and that's exactly why we exist. We met them in December of 2022, and here we are today, and they'll forever be part of us, and we'll make sure that they get all the needs met. They just because today is over with doesn't mean they're not going to be in our lives anymore. They'll continue to remain part of our organization. That's in terms of timelines. That's really all I have to share right now. But we're happy to take questions.
Chief, was BCI taking the case, the turning point in this case?
100% the turning point. If BCI had not taken this case, we would not be here today.
Chief, you said you inherited, or BCI inherited a mess. Why was it so messy?
Well, take a look at how long it had been since she had been missing and nothing had been done about it. So
And
I don't want to go into the particulars of it.
did Agent Soraya seek to learn why the sheriff refused to investigate Amanda's disappearance?
Well, Matt, I don't think that that's what really this press conference is about, is an anti-rhetoric against the sheriff, with all due respect. You and I both know that the case sat dormant. We don't really need to address that,
Why don't you need to address
because
that?
I just don't think that this is the appropriate
So
time.
Fred
I
Reer,
just got done watching someone get sentenced to prison for killing a loved one of the family that's standing behind me. And so I don't really want to get into any of the rhetoric with respect to what the sheriff's department did or did not do. The math is very simple. This case sat dormant for years. Amanda Dean was not even entered as a missing.
was that negligence?
You had a question.
Again, we're not gonna go there, Matt, so I'm gonna go to the next reporter. Thank you.
What's your reaction to today's sentencing, and do you think justice was served?
Well, I think that I won't speak for the family, but I think I'll speak for a family that's gone through something similar. I think life would have been too short of a time. I understand why that didn't happen. The way that he pled. Should Fred Reer be in prison for the rest of his life? Yes. As Shannon Dean said in her direct to the courts today, Fred Reer gets to hug his mother. He asked for that today. Did you hear that? He asked to hug his mother. He asked to see Rin Reer today. The Dean family don't get to hug Amanda Dean. They'll never get to see her again. They'll never get to hug her again. They won't get to go in a private hall and hug her. But Fred Reer will get that today. And he'll probably get it in all the years that he's in prison. So from my perspective, and I speak on behalf of Cleveland Missing, 14 years is not long enough, but unfortunately, that's just the way Ohio law is written, and that's what he's going to do. And we'll pray that he spends all 14 years thinking about what he's done. That being said, this is a man he cared not. You saw the way he behaved today in court. This is a guy who thinks that he did nothing wrong, and my suspicion is if and when he ever gets out of prison, he'll probably repeat some kind of crime again. And then hopefully he can go and spend the rest of his life in prison.
And to piggyback off of that, what I will share is, and she stole a little bit of my thunder on that, but there was a mention that Fred Reer cooperated, but I want to make 100% clear. He did not cooperate until they received discovery. And when they received discovery, that is the evidence of the case that is mounted against him. At that point, he opted to cooperate. And every murderer is a first-time murderer. It doesn't lessen the offense of what Fred Reer did. Yes, this was not a murder in terms of conviction, but it is by definition a murder because there's a life that was taken at the hands of Fred Reer, period.
Wouldn't help, obviously you'd be up for parole in 14 years then. And so I know if you could speak on behalf of the family, when that time comes, if you could just walk me through, what would that look like for all of you on behalf of Cleveland Missing and the family? You guys have been fighting for so long. There's more fight ahead.
Understood. And it's a good question. It's hard to look into a crystal ball to see what's going to happen in 14 years. But this family has got more strength in its little finger than just about anybody I've ever met in my life. And so I think that their strength will still be there no matter how long it takes. And whatever the fight needs to be made for Amanda, they're going to continue to do it. In terms of today, we just learned the sentence within the past 30, 40 minutes now. And so It's a lot to process. It's a lot to process for me. I'm sure that it's a lot to process for Sylvia. It's a lot to process for the folks that are staying behind. So it's going to give them, time, which is why they're not speaking right now, to process. It's going to take days, weeks, and months for this. And they've dealt with this for 8 years now. So it's quite a bit of challenge. But my response would be that they'll be there to make sure that he gets everything he possibly gets.
Chief, tell us about the purple ribbons.
Actually, one of them Sylvia, because I'll just state my relationship with Cleveland Missing came to be with Gina and Sylvia, and Gina's favorite color is purple. And so for those, many of you who have been to the offices of Cleveland Missing, there's purple everywhere. And so this is where it came from. So I'll let Sylvia, she can provide a much better response.
Yeah, so purple, because it's Cleveland Missing, and we always represent our other co-founder, and she's not here today on purpose because she knows, I'm not gonna even say her name. She knows that, this would have been about her instead of about the deans. So she chose not to be here, but purple is her favorite color and we represent Cleveland Missing, and she wanted them to know that she was with them today. So we brought the ribbons so that they knew, she was with them today and her family.
So is this why Cleveland Missing was formed? I remember that press conference when they came to you, they didn't know what else to do. And you got the media there, and that's when the story in the Cleveland market started. Is that what Cleveland Missing was designed to do and help families like this?
Absolutely. It's exactly why when G and I kind of settled on what we wanted to give back to the city, we knew that we had to do something for families. And it's exactly why we exist. We always say we want to be a soft place for families to land. And I think in this particular case, I can say that we were definitely a soft place for this family to land, and we'll continue to do that with any family we work with.
Because you're helping them maneuver through these cases, right?
Absolutely, from start to finish. With the Dean family, it was just incredulous that nobody had taken a police report. So starting where the family was with that, and then kind of figuring out what we were going to do next, having law enforcement on our board really helped because they were able to make those connections and get the case moving pretty quickly once the family came to us. So it's exactly why we exist, to make sure that we're helping them get through every piece of what that missing case should be like.
Do you have a lot of cases like this where a local agency doesn't want to investigate?
We have a lot of cases that are like this that end up, unfortunately, the way Amanda Dean did. Again, I don't want to get into what law enforcement does or does not do today. I think that it's just too overwhelming for the family today to do that. And out of respect for them, we're not going to do that.
In your email or someone's email, there's a press conference that's happening later this month.
Yes.
Can you explain what we have, what's next, what that's gonna be about?
Yeah, so the press conference is on the 20th at our office. It began at our office and it will end at our office. And the Dean family, the first time they came to our office, I want to say in January, we had a press conference where they kind of talked about the case. And so on the 20th, you'll get to ask the Dean family some questions. They'll be prepared to talk about the case. And I think that that's where it should end. I think for them, that's exactly where it should end. They'll talk about really what they've gone through these last several years, certainly the 3 years we've been with them. So that's what we'll do, and we'll end it there. Start and stopped.
So today, the Dean family, I don't want to say closure, but they got answers to questions in open court on what happened. Do you have anything to say to other families who are waiting for this moment that they experienced today? Who maybe haven't seen this person come into the criminal justice system?
I think one of the things that we always share is hope, right? You always have to hope that it will happen. And we promised the deans 3 years ago it would, when there were a lot of things they wanted to say. And we said, hold on, you will get your chance. And they got their chance and they'll continue to get their chance. So that's what we tell other families is we can promise you're going to get your chance. It may not be in the time you want it to be, but you'll get your chance. And today the dean got their chance.
We're, I forgot to ask this, but everything that was like presented and laid out today, was any of that new or a surprise to the family? Like things that they hadn't known, or hadn't seen before?
No, in fact, Prosecutor Dan Caceres did nothing short of an amazing job. He was 100% transparent through and through. There were some times when I would meet with them and he would be telling things, I'd be like, wow, he's sharing a lot. But he did what he was supposed to do, and that was right. And so there was no surprises coming out of the woodwork on this at all. They knew. And so props to him for the time invested in this case, because as you heard today, they flew out of state several times to interview witnesses. And so they went to correctional facilities, jails to talk to people. So they put in a lot of time and effort, and they were very transparent with this family the entire time.
John, can you talk about the challenges of a case where there's no body found and how that made it more difficult to bring charges?
Well, I think that when you have a criminal case, and this is what I tell my students when I teach them, and a criminal investigation is like a 1,500 piece jigsaw puzzle. And when you have a 1,500 piece jigsaw, you start with the outside, you start with the corners, and then you start with the outsides, and then you start to work your way in. But in any criminal case, you're never going to get all 1,500 pieces. You're just not going to. But if I were to show you a puzzle of 1,500 pieces that's missing maybe 10, 15, or 20 of them, you'd still be able to depict what the picture is. And in this case here, that's exactly what it was. They didn't get all 1,500 pieces, but most criminal cases don't ever get all 1,500 pieces. In fact, they'll be lucky to get, 1,400 pieces. But the challenge without a body obviously made it very difficult. But the tenacity of the Ohio Attorney General's Office, BCI, that they were relentless. And yes, you didn't see media stories, you didn't hear anything on the forefront. That doesn't mean they were sitting dormant on a shelf somewhere. They were working this case. And Agent Soraya stayed in contact with me often and give me updates. Here, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing the other. And so, yeah, it is a challenge without having a body to a case. I will give them that. But again, this conviction today and this sentencing today goes to show you how in tune the Ohio Attorney General's Office, BCI, is, because this is a very difficult prosecution. And so I'll put my police chief hat on for a second. And I will tell you that it's a very difficult case. And it's a very difficult case to make, let alone prosecute. And so because there was a plea in this, is because there was compelling evidence. The prosecution didn't give in because, well, we're not sure we can get a conviction, whatever. There's a lot of things that go into a plea arrangement. And so, and to include the impact that it has on the family. And so I think that because of the hard work that they did led to what we have today.
John, you said Fred Reer did not start cooperating until after his defense counsel got discovery. What in discovery was the most important piece of evidence for the prosecution, do you believe?
Matt, I'm not really sure what that is. I think that it's more probably a conglomerate. The evidence, in my opinion, was compelling. It was enough, in my opinion, to convict. Had this case gone to trial, I'm very confident that it would have resulted in a conviction. But to specifically say this particular item was the straw that broke the camel's back, I don't know that there is one. I think that it was just the overwhelming nature of the evidence. And you saw a lot of it up on the screen here today.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
And
Okay.
then, oh, sorry, just lastly, I don't want to be that person, but, the body, like, is still not found, correct? Okay.
And what was the maximum potential sentence for Fred Reer?
18 years,
18 years, and he received 14 years.
14 years.
9 years on involuntary manslaughter, 2 years on tampering with evidence, 2 years, well, we'll figure it out.
On a second tampering. I think that there's something that the Dean family wants to convey, and that's outside the scope of today. But when you look at the sheer nature of the crime, gross abuse of a corpse, everybody in this room, when you hear gross abuse of a corpse, it makes your skin crawl, it makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. And Ohio law makes that an F5. It's a felony of the 5th degree. That was the lowest of all the charges he's got. And so this is something that I've talked to Caroline and Shannon and the boys about, and that is that they want to go and push for this to be a higher degree felony. And I agree with them. Gross abuse of a corpse shouldn't be just an F5. That is in the same category as like drug trafficking, selling a bag of methamphetamine, crack cocaine, or heroin. It's in the same category. And so there's a lot of F5s, vandalism over $1,000, F5, okay? And gross abuse of a corpse is only an F5. And the most that you can get is a year on that. So I don't think anybody in this room is going to disagree with me. And so this is one thing that when the dust settles and the smoke clears here, that the family wants to pursue this and push the legislature for harsher penalties for that nature of crime. And I fully agree with them, and I'll stand there with them while they do it.
Chief, you started to break up a little bit when you were reading the statement. For you and Sylvia, what has this been like to go through this with the family?
Can I start?
Yeah, please.
When John joined our board, he's a tough old dude. And I said to him, well, I called you old. He said, I'm going to turn you into a marshmallow. But that's my job, turning you into a marshmallow. I succeeded today. Just so everybody, hope his wife's back there going, yes, you did. That was my goal. My goal was to turn this man into a marshmallow. And every case that we've ever worked on when he's been with us has been nothing short of amazing. I knew that he was an old softie because I've seen him with many families. But today he showed the world that he's an old softie. When he broke up, which really stunned me because I don't break up. If you remember, even during when I did it for my family, I'm not much of a crier, but old John Majoy today, there you go. That's what I have to say about that.
Well, I will respectfully disagree with you in that I am a young softie. Just to set the record straight with everyone, so make sure you print that. I think that during my time with Cleveland Missing, when you are dealing with victims of crime, and I know that sometimes the legislature and other folks, they don't think that the family of a missing loved one are considered victims, but we do. And there's a human life here. And when you guys are done here, you guys go about your day, you go about your business, and these folks got to live with all this stuff. And we look at that, and we look at the impact that it has on families. And when I've seen the trauma that this family's been through, it's hard not to feel impacted by that individually. And so I've had the great fortune, my wife and I've had the great fortune of getting to know them and going to their house and them coming to our house and going to lunch or dinner together and, just talking with them and getting to know them outside of this case. And so, these 4 boys are without their mother. And so I don't know how anybody in the world, except for Fred Reer and his family, cannot feel impacted by that and the emotion that goes along with that. And these boys, they've been to hell and back. And this family was told that the mother was in a shelter, and they were told she was okay, and nothing was done about it. And all of a sudden, that day came when Cleveland Missing got a hold of the case, got DCI involved in it, and here we are today. And so, you become personally vested. And so when you look in the eyes of these boys, you can see the trauma, you can see the pain and the suffering that they've been through. And it was hard for me, even having read that before coming up here, it was hard for me because this is from the heart. This is from these boys. And, I'm just honored that they asked me to speak on their behalf. It wasn't easy because I feel their pain. It's not my mother, it's not my sister, it's not my daughter, but it's theirs. And so it's hard not to feel their pain.
Thank you all. We'll see you on the 20th.
Yeah, we just ask that you let the family leave the room and go down to the anteroom down the hall.
Thank you. We appreciate you all so much. Thank you. So many of you have covered this, so thank you so much. No, okay, it's not, but then you can't. I think that's the way the law is. That's good. It's like that, a couple more of these. Yeah.
Okay, wait, that's interesting.
Yeah, right. They can't steal it.
It's not. On the sentence.
15 with them. 18.
So what do we?
But each,
Working in.
so.
I don't know. It's not an accident, but. Family.
Oh,
You know, I don't think that there's gonna be a sentence. And it's gonna be okay.
Now.
But if you look at like something-
you got some,
Yeah, I can't.
I can get them for you.
Oh, that'd be awesome, man. Hitting them with those hard to answer questions, huh?
Yeah,
Someone's got to do it
5.5 years. I'm ready to do it.
all the time. 1 year's a long time.
Shit, crazy.
It'll, you know what, one of them. It'll be.
You shit. Why isn't that relevant? That a sheriff,
Matt, I wanna
elected,
end.
elected,
Let me.
elected
you let it go.
public
Let
official
him go.
Okay.
ignored
Hang
it
on,
for five
hang on,
and a
dude.
half
Hang on,
years.
hang on. You have been nice now, but early on you were not. When
Oh,
it, let me
please.
finish.
Oh, please.
And you can write this. I have all the emails that I can release. All the horrible things you did and said until it no longer.
Show me those emails.
When it benefited you, Matt.
Oh,
And you know
please.
what I'm talking
You have
about.
sat here
And don't point your
benefiting your
finger.
organization
My
like
organization
crazy.
benefits nothing. Oh, but what
Please.
you're not.
I'm not
do is
gonna
talk.
argue with you.
I'm not either.
Those
You're
were
being rude
reasonable
now. You're
questions.
being rude now.
Those reasonable
Rude now,
questions.
Matt.
You were being
And
rude.
you're not invited
You
to
were being
the
rude.
20th. You will be asked to leave.
No,
You're not
tell me.
invited. It's by invitation only. So don't. You can print
I
that.
don't want to promote you anyway, Lee.
Goodbye, Matt.
Goodbye.
Go ahead. Go.
Hey, Dave, I'm gonna find it.
Really, John.
John, go.
Really. Really.
Don't say anything.
Really.
Don't point your finger.
I'm talking to John now. John can
You.
speak for himself.
Speaking for.
John can speak for
Goodbye. I'm gonna
himself.
have you release.
Harassing me, lady. Leave me alone.
Just go. Okay. Everybody go.
Have a good day. Have a good day. You as well, sir.